Okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is section 1.5. Now I do want to make a note that we're getting close to the end of section 1, or module 1, I should say. And at the end of module 1, there is a quiz. So please make sure that you are checking the calendar regularly and that you know when that quiz is due. Okay. So here we have a table for f of x and a table for g of x. So the first thing we're going to talk about today are our transformation rules. Let's review them real quick. If we have f of x equals a times x minus h plus k, like that. A tells me shrink or stretch. If a is less than 0, it reflects over x. If a is in between 0 and 1, it shrinks or compresses. If a is greater than 1, it stretches. And really, that's the absolute value of a. And then h is horizontal movement. So a minus h moves right, h units, and a plus h moves left, h units. K tells us vertical movement. So a plus k moves up, h units, and a minus k moves down, h units. Okay, so those are our general transformation rules. So here, if we're looking at g of x equals f of x plus 1, so we want to know what is the relationship between this table and this table. So if we look, the y values all stayed the same. So that tells me there was no vertical movement. But the x values all shifted to the left one. And so a plus h moves left, and that has to be on the inside. So for this one, I would say f of x plus 1. And now if this is h, notice this time that all my x's stayed the same, but all my y's moved down 1. So then this would be a minus 1 on the outside. Okay. So I want you to make a note for yourself somewhere that inside is the opposite of what it says, and outside is the same as what it says. And we're going to talk more specifically about what I mean by that in just a minute. Okay. So for the next one, there it is. Here, if we have x to the third and we add 6 to it, what would happen? Well, that plus 6 is on the outside of the parentheses. So that means it would move up 6. And moving up 6 would add add 6 to all the x, well, all the y values. Add 6 to all the y values. Okay. So we know the difference between vertical change and horizontal change because of parentheses. If this had been x plus 6 to the third like that, that would have been a horizontal change. Since it's f of x plus 6 like this, it's a vertical change. Okay. So if the formula y equals x to the third is changed by adding 4, for this one, the plus 4 is on the inside of the parentheses, so it would shift horizontally. And on this side, the plus 4 is on the outside of the parentheses, so it would shift vertically. Okay. And then this next set is it's like some of the, no, this one, this next set. So here we have a 17. Before I even look at these, I want to talk about what each one of these does. So this is a 17 on the outside. So this tells me it's going to move up 17. This 5 on the outside that's being multiplied, that is either a shrink or a stretch, or a compression or a stretch. Because 5 is greater than 1, it is a stretch. So we would stretch by 5. And this plus 10 on the inside of the parentheses, that would be horizontal change. It would shift left 10 units. Okay? So what effect does the 5 on? The 5 would be a vertical stretch by a factor of 5. What effect would the 10 have? The 10 would shift the whole graph left 10 units. And what effect would the 17 have? The 17 would shift the whole graph up 17 units. Okay. Now, this question always seems to confuse people. So this is back to where I say that inside is the opposite and outside is the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 4 and we're going to do the opposite of what we see here. So think about order of operations. Normally, I would multiply by a negative 7.6 and then subtract negative 6.6. We're going to do the opposite of that. So the first thing I'm going to do to this 4 is I'm going to add 6.6. And now instead of multiplying by a negative 7.6, I'm going to divide by a negative 7.6. Man, could not have put that in my calculator any more wrong than I did. Oh, 2 decimal places. So negative 1.32. But for the y's, we're going to do exactly what we see in the exact order that we expect. So for the y's, I'm going to multiply by a negative 7.7. That's negative 15.4. Then I'm going to add 11.1. Okay? So in the inside, you're going to do everything the backwards of what you expect. And on the outside, you're going to do everything exactly as you see it. So for your x, you do the opposites, and for your y's, you do what you see. I hope that helps. And then the last kind of question that you'll see on these is going to ask you to rewrite the function. So here, if we move up 56 units, that would be x squared plus 56 like this. And 59 units right would be, you'd have to put that in the parentheses. 59 units right. So then this would be and 59 right. So that would be your final equation. So those are your transformation rules. I would highly recommend that you keep something like this near you while you do this homework assignment, because having this close will be helpful, because then you won't have to go back and look up like, oh, what are those rules? What did I have to do? Okay.